Welcome to today's video where I'm gonna cover 4 of the best hiking trails in and around Tucson, Arizona. And if you stick around to the end, I'm gonna share an important reminder with you. You're definitely not gonna wanna miss that. We're gonna jump in right now. Hey, I'm Rich, and if this is your first time to the channel and you want to know everything there is to know about lifestyle, real estate, and new builds in Tucson, Arizona and Southern Arizona, then you've come to the right place. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, tap the little bell notification so you can be the first to learn everything you want to know. Being a native Tucsonan and a real estate professional here in the desert for over 15 years, I've had the pleasure to help 2,000 plus people buy or sell a home. And I get calls and texts every single day from people just like you who are considering a move in Tucson or Southern Arizona, and I absolutely love it. So whether you're moving in a week or a year, feel free to call, text, shoot me an email, or even schedule a free Zoom consult. I'm happy to help make your move smooth anywhere in town. So here we go at number 1, it's Blacketts Ridge Trail. Blacketts Ridge Trail is located in Sabino Canyon recreation area, which is northeastern part of Tucson. It's about a 10 or 15 minute drive from central Tucson, pretty accessible, and they've got a whole lot of trails over there. So the trail is 6 miles round trip, and over those 6 miles, you're gonna do a total ascent of 1,700 feet, which is pretty gnarly. So if you're a hiker, if you like a workout, this is definitely a trail to check out. I've done this trail several times. I've done it once with my little girl on my back in a little backpack when she was about 1.5 years. And whew, man, it is a workout for sure, especially if you're carrying a toddler or a backpack full of stuff. If you're trying to have a picnic at the top, just be ready. You're gonna be putting the work in all the way up, but it's got a lot to offer. You're gonna start at the Sabino Canyon recreation area. They've got parking there. There is a small fee to get in. Parking fee, I think it's maybe $7 or $10. They have snack machines, water, restrooms. They've got guide maps there that kind of help navigate you around Sabino Canyon area. So you've got everything that you need right there when you park. Unfortunately, all of Sabino Canyon is a no pets hiking area. So your furry friends, you'd have to leave them at home for this particular hike. But I think that it's well worth it. As a dog owner myself, I love to hike with my dog. But in this case, not allowed. So I think you'll enjoy it by yourself or with another companion. Part of the hike from the parking area is paved. So, you know, it's up and down some hills as you kind of get to the start of the Blacketts Ridge Trail. It's paved, you know, pretty easy walk. And then once you hit the trail, it does turn pretty steep and rocky. I think it's considered probably a difficult trail or you know, for more seasoned hikers. I wouldn't say that, as long as your expectation is correct and you understand it's gonna be a workout. I would suggest, you know, I don't think there's anything super treacherous about it. I don't think there's anything overly dangerous that you have to be like an expert hiker. But I mean, physical fitness, like, you're definitely going to be tested. It's gonna do a workout on your legs for sure. So just know that you're going to get a little bit of both. You're going to get to be outdoors. You're going to get to check out the views. You're going to get a killer workout in, and you're going to get to stand at the top and soak it all in. The terrain is filled with steep switchbacks. You've got lots of rocks and boulders that you're going to have to navigate. You're going to see a lot of wildlife as you go. So, you know, you might see some deer, you might see some javelinas. You're definitely going to have a lot of natural desert to absorb and take a look at. I've been hiking out in this area and have seen desert tortoises, which is pretty cool. You don't see those too often, but I've seen them. So you never know what you're gonna see. But if you like nature, it's definitely a cool area that's untouched. It does traverse kind of a ridge, so you're gonna have spectacular views as soon as you start to get past the first maybe quarter to a third of a mile on the actual trail. And you've got views on both sides of you for some of the hike. And as you increase in elevation, your views get more and more spectacular, which is great because if you're huffing and puffing like I was, you know, taking a little rest and being able to have something to look out on is definitely a bonus. And the views on this hike do not disappoint. Actually, once you get to the very top, there is 360-degree views all the way around. I'll let you in on a little secret about this hike too. It's kind of deceiving, and it got me the first time really bad. You're probably close to a mile and a half in, and it requires some good physical exertion, and it's got 2 hills at the end. And the first hill, don't fall into the same trap that I did, where you see the first hill, you traverse the first hill, and it looks like that's the end. It looks like, oh, I finally made it. I can rest, I can have a snack, I can enjoy the fruits of my labor here. And it's a false reality. There is another hill. There's a small valley that separates the second hill. And so the first time I experienced that, I was definitely pretty gassed and had to do some deep soul searching to make sure that I found that second wind to be able to cruise the last little quarter of a mile there. But so anyway, little pro tip, don't be convinced by that first hill. That first hill, when you think it's the top, it's not. There's one more. Once you crest that one, you're gonna see there's a small little valley you go through, and then you're gonna see the second peak that you get to summit. The best times to hike are definitely gonna be early in the morning, especially in the summer months. There's not gonna be a whole lot of shade at this hike. So hike smart, show up first thing in the morning. I think they open at like 7 a.m. So they might change their schedule a little bit, but check their map, Sabino Canyon Recreation Area. And they have a website, but you know, sunrise, catching that hike for sunrise, amazing. Or sunset might be a little bit hotter in the winter months, probably less of a concern. You know, the sun is a lot more bearable. It's not 100 plus degrees outside. So just be prepared, drink a lot of water beforehand, bring a lot of water with you, and you'll be fine. All right, number 2 hike that you definitely need to check out if you're looking for hikes in and around the Tucson, Arizona area is Picacho Peak Hunter Trail. Is a challenging 3.2 mile hike all the way up Picacho Peak. Picacho Peak is located off of I-10 northwest of Tucson, and it's located west of the interstate there. It's pretty massive. The topography out there is relatively flat, and then you have this just huge like rock thing that's protruding from the earth. It definitely sticks out like a sore thumb, like sticking straight up in the air. So Picacho Peak, definitely a lot of fun. It's about 3.2 miles round trip, and it is very steep. I would say it's gonna be way more technical, probably the most technical hiking trail that I've done in Tucson. So if you like the thrill of something that's unique, something that I would definitely suggest you have a higher level of skill set for, this may not be one that you bring the kids on. It's probably not going to be too great for dogs just because of the terrain. There are some areas that you actually have to use cable assistance to navigate along cliff edges and stuff. If you're a thrill seeker, you know, they've got it all outlined. You don't need to bring your own equipment. It's all there. But it's definitely something that for the thrill seekers that want an incredible view, it's definitely one to check out for sure. There is a parking area right at the base, and they've got restrooms, water. You know, they've got some amenities there that can kind of help you if you need to fill up on water, or if you need to use a restroom. There is a small fee. It's like $7 or something like that. That may change, but it is minimal. As with a lot of these hikes, you're gonna get a whole lot of desert landscape, from ocotillos to different cactuses to some of the native trees. You're gonna see a lot of birds and wildlife. Lots and lots and lots of saguaros in this area, especially when you get to the backside of the mountain past what they call the saddle. You're gonna see a whole just vast landscape of saguaro cactus, like a forest of saguaro cactuses, which are big, the big tall, like, you know, cactuses that look like this. So it's pretty cool. It's definitely a very cool view. Because of the way that the mountain is situated, you usually will get some shade either in the afternoon or in the morning. You're gonna kind of go up the front side, which in the morning time it could be shaded, and then once you cross the saddle and go around back down across the back section, you know, the sun could be blocked from the front and you may have some shade on the back side. So usually, unless it's like midday, you're probably gonna have, if it's morning or afternoon, you're probably gonna have shade at least for part of the hike. Little pro tip, the only one thing that I would suggest for this particular hike that might be a little unique is some gloves, especially if you're going in the summertime. As I mentioned, there are steel cables that are located when you navigate up the front and you cross the saddle to go back down. You're gonna be traversing cables on the side of the cliff. And they've got scaffolding and they have some cables for you to hold on to. And you're gonna wanna have some gloves because if it's in the middle of the sun, that metal, those steel cables can be super hot. So pro tip, make sure you bring some gloves with you if you're gonna do Picacho Peak. Number 3 hike in Tucson that you should definitely check out, one of my all-time favorites, and I think a local favorite for many, many of us who are native to Tucson, is Seven Falls, located back in Sabino Canyon rec area. Seven Falls is a crowd favorite in the monsoon seasons. You've got incredible cascading waterfalls that you get to end your hike with. And, you know, many of them are deep enough you can go swimming in. You can hang out under the waterfall. They're big swimming holes. So it's just a lot of fun, especially when there is water flowing. There is not water flowing year round, so you're definitely gonna wanna, if you want maximum water, you're definitely gonna wanna focus on the monsoon seasons, which are generally gonna be between May and probably August. Every monsoon season's a little bit different. So, but typically we're gonna have some water flow during those monsoon months. This particular trail is a longer one. It's 8.2 miles round trip. So it's definitely one that people tend to travel in groups. You know, they kind of share the workload of bring in lunch, bring in some water, bring in some snacks, you know, go in the buddy system because it's a bit of a trek. It's going to be the majority of your day, depending on the speed at which you're cruising through the trails. This hike has an elevation gain of 917 feet, so not too bad in comparison to some of the ones that I've already mentioned. And the good thing is the difficulty is not off the charts. I would say, you know, there are some areas that you definitely want to use some caution. There's some, not cliffs, but there are some sharp hills. So I would say this one's pretty family friendly. You know, it's definitely doable. It is longer, 8.2 miles round trip. So just plan accordingly. But I would say, you know, this is a moderate skill level, moderate in terms of intensity, like how physical it's going to be on you. So it's a nice one. If you can plan to endure the 4 mile or so hike in, then you get a nice little relaxing kind of session to cool off in the pools and the waterfalls when you're there. So as with Blacketts Ridge, this particular hiking trail is located in Sabino Canyon. So you've got everything you need right at the beginning of the parking area, restrooms, water. I think they have snack machines. There is a tram system too. So you can take a tram to through Sabino Canyon on the paved areas when it's running. I don't believe it's running every single day, and that schedule may change, so definitely check out their website, Sabino Canyon Recreation Area. But the tram can help take you from the parking lot to the beginning of the trailhead, and that may save you a little bit of time. The majority of the trail is going to be something that you're not going to be able to take the tram on, but if you're looking to shave a little bit off of that, then definitely something to consider taking the tram. One of my favorite parts about this hike is you get to cross when the water is flowing through Sabino Canyon. They have these little crossways, and there's water that cascades over it. They built these little bridges that is for the tram to traverse through the canyon as it takes people all the way to the top. So you can actually take the tram just for sightseeing and not hike at all if you wanted to. But as you're crossing each of these little waterways, when the water's flowing, it's just cascading over the road. You know, maybe there's 6 to 8 inches of water, maybe even more in some areas. So it's pretty cool. It's cool to just see, me being from the desert, anytime I get to spend more time around water and specifically, you know, outdoors, it's definitely something unique and something cool. You get the sound of flowing water, get to splash a little bit on your body, cool off a little bit as you keep trucking. As I mentioned before, monsoon season is definitely when you're gonna get the highest likelihood of water. When it's flowing the best, but there are times in the winter that it's flowing as well. And so this is kind of because of the water element. I would say it's much better for, you know, year round. There is a little bit more shade as you're hiking through the canyons. You're gonna have some of the canyons to your left and to your right that are providing you some shade. As you start to hike out of the canyon towards, I would say, the second half, you start to get out of the canyon and you start to be more on the ridge line, so you're not gonna have as much shade up there. But there is a good portion of the trail that's shaded because of the canyons and because you're kind of down in the valley a little bit. All right, and the fourth and final trail that I would recommend is called the Sweetwater Trailhead, which is just west of central Tucson, about 20 minutes. And it's a beautiful trail. I would say in general, it's fairly easy to moderate terrain. I do a lot of mountain biking out there, so the terrain is not too rough. It's well mapped out. Each of the hiking loops are relatively short, 1 to 2 miles typically. It's got a parking area. It does not have any facilities, but it's close to town. It's not a very vigorous hike. And, you know, you're going to see some great wildlife. When I'm out there, I get to see all sorts of wildlife, from deer. I've seen javelinas out there, see a whole lot of birds, quails, doves, cactus wrens. And the terrain is nice. You get a lot of spectacular views looking, because you're west of I-10, you're west of Tucson. Looking east, you can see the city, you can see the Catalina Mountains, you can watch the sunrise over the city. Looking further west, you're just gonna see rolling desert hills with a lot of, you know, cactus, a lot of plant life, a lot of vegetation, native trees. So it's definitely really nice and peaceful out there, just far enough outside of the city, and just an easy enough hike to really kind of enjoy it. A lot of it is more of a walking path, I would say, more than a hike. One of my favorite things about this trail is it is pet friendly. So if you have a fur baby that you love to take outdoors and you want your sidekick with you, then this is a great trail to consider. Dogs are allowed out there. You know, just be on the lookout for any type of rattlesnakes, because those sometimes can be on the trail. But yeah, feel free to take your dog because this trail does allow pets. As I mentioned before, this trail is relatively easy and moderate. I think it's a great option for family. If you've got some people that aren't used to hiking, maybe don't want a super strenuous hike, I think this is an incredible option just to be able to get outdoors, enjoy nature, and not get too caught up in what I have to do to prepare, what type of physical fitness level do I need. Bring the kids, bring the dog, bring some family that's visiting, whoever is interested. I think that they're gonna do just fine on this trail. Overall, the trails are pretty well maintained. I would say it's a fairly popular trail out there, so the trails are relatively smooth, very well maintained. The parking area is ample. It's never really too crowded, at least in the morning when I go bright and early. That probably changes a little bit on the weekend, but catching a sunrise, definitely a great idea. So there you have it. There are 4 incredible hikes that you need to add to your list. If you like this video, be sure to tap the subscribe button and make sure you like this video if you got some value out of it as well. Definitely helps the channel, definitely helps us out. As always, I like to end these videos with a little bit of inspiration, so here you go. It's a lot easier to go from failures to success than it is to go from excuses to success. So let that kind of sink in. We all have our moments, right? I certainly have mine where I'm filled with excuses, and the reality is it's a lot harder to move out of a time when I have excuses than it is to move out of a time where I've experienced a failure. So let the failures move you forward and ditch the excuses. Last thing to remember, whether you're moving in a week or a year, shoot me a call, text, email, or even schedule a free Zoom consult. I'd be happy to jump on and help make your move smooth anywhere in Tucson. Until next time, I hope to see you around town.